Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Next Gen MFG. I'm your host, Noosh, and I'm joined by Autumn. I met Autumn on TikTok because I was looking through people who weld, and I just found her, and I asked her if she wanted to be on my podcast, and she said yeah. So I'll kind of let her introduce herself.
I'm Autumn. I'm 18 years old and born and raised in Alaska. I am currently living in Arizona, going to Universal Technical Institute for welding.
Awesome, thank you. So, how did you get into welding?
Alaska's very trade focused. It's very redneck up there. So just my high school had a bunch of programs. I had an engines class, a woodworking, construction, and a metalworking class. I was just trying to take electives. I needed to catch up. And junior year, I took welding and it just really clicked.
So, before you were introduced to those trades, did you know what you wanted to study in high school? What your focus was?
Not really. I was kind of a little anxious about college coming up and trying to decide what I really want to do. I just kept on visualizing the future and I just didn't see myself happy or staying dedicated to college.
I feel that. I feel that. Like when I was in high school, I knew for a fact I could not do another 4 years.
Mm,
Um, how did you hear about UTI?
my welding teacher, I asked him one day, what if I went to a trade school? And he was just like, what if? And then I just started looking into trade schools. Other people in my class were going to trade school, and um, my boyfriend, who is in diesel mechanics right now, was decided to go to UTI, and I signed up and everything before him. And of course,
Was there any pushback when you decided to not go the traditional college route?
mm, definitely my grandma, who I live with, like she raised me, has always expected me to go to college, and so she was a little worried about trade school. She's very like, I don't want you to get hurt. That's kind of a man's job. You're a girl, you're tiny.
Yeah. How did you deal with that? Like what did you tell yourself and what did you tell her to kind of soothe that feeling?
Well, I just knew that I wasn't gonna stick to college. If I did go to a college, I was gonna burn out. I was not gonna want to complete things. If I was on my own, I would just procrastinate. And I also had my welding teacher backing me up. He said I was, top of the class in the graduation speech. He said that I was one of the best metal workers he had ever seen. So that definitely gave my grandma more confidence in me that I'd be able to excel.
I just got distracted looking at your bio. You knit too?
Yes, I love doing art with my hands. Braiding, knitting, friendship bracelets. I'm really into intricate work. I love it.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you can kind of connect that with welding and metalworking. You know, your love for hands-on art, you can connect that with your love for metalworking.
So I definitely wanted to go into trade school because it's shorter, obviously, and it gets you right into a career that is stable. You're always going to need that career. There's always going to be money in there, and it's direct money. So right after school, I can start making good money, get on my feet immediately in the world, especially with just how the economy and the current state of the country is. I think things are getting more expensive, and it's just worrying. Um, but I definitely wanted something stable that I could lean back on. I do have passions outside of welding of what I want to do for a career, like uh, maybe going to law school or into chemical psychology, but I just couldn't go through with that now.
What's chemical psychology? Because I have
I'm
no idea
glad
what
you
that is.
asked. um, it's not quite a formal term, but I like psychology and I like all the aspects of it. But I wouldn't be a good therapist because I'm very blunt and I would not be able to like talk anyone off a ledge. But I like talking about how the brain like works, all the chemicals in the brain and how they influence mental health, like dementia, how dementia is caused by things happening in your brain. So chemical psychology is almost working with drugs that combat mental illness or just looking at brains and how certain people's minds work, the psychology of that.
That is very different from welding. I think that's really cool that your interests are so varied. Um, are you currently working right now?
I am not, I've had a job pretty consistently since I was 14, working, I've worked at McDonald's and then a restaurant. And I come to Arizona and it just feels like the working market here is screwed. Like I've applied to 30 plus places, of all different things. I've applied to restaurants, I've applied to shops, anywhere, and it's I'm lucky to get a rejection reply. It's
Oh, really?
complicated.
Um, are you on LinkedIn by any chance?
I am not, oh, I was gonna create a profile. You know what I did instead, accidentally? I created an Indeed profile.
It's okay, it happens. They be getting mixed up a lot, but you should definitely make a LinkedIn. People want to connect with you. And if people hear your story, they might want to be like, hey, let's get this girl out there. Maybe she could talk to some students. Maybe she could work with us. That's kind
Mhm.
of my goal with the podcast is to be able to connect you guys with people that could help make your careers bigger, like in the same way that you're doing on social media. Like I already see you on social media. You know how to read your audience, you know how to make your posts, and that's what they're looking for. They're not only looking for the talent that knows the work, they're also looking for that communication skill. So I really want to put you on that pedestal to LinkedIn so that they could see you. If especially because you are looking for a job, maybe somebody in Arizona is going to want not just your welding skills but also your marketing skills. And that also means you might be able to get paid a little bit more because of your marketing.
That
Hopefully.
would
Like
be
that's
so cool. Yeah,
um
that would be awesome. I will definitely make the correct profile after the
yes. Okay,
podcast.
good, good. Make a LinkedIn for sure cuz also there's also so many people that are going to like just willing to give you advice. And also more podcasts. More people are probably going to want you to talk on their podcast too to go into more in-depth like conversation. Were you the only girl in your welding school in high school? Or your
In our
welding
welding
class?
class,
Mm-hmm.
I was the only girl that was currently welding. We had other girls in the metalworking class, and of course it was all grades. So there's some girls, but I was the only one in the booths, everything, which was fine because that is mainly solo work anyways. So it's not like I was co collaborating with anyone. Back in high school, not a lot of people joined the welding class because they were interested in welding or wanted to do it. It was just an elective. Some of them were just even put in there. So I definitely say there were some of the same cliques, um, even in the class, which is fine, if you want to sit at the table and make your toolbox with all your friends and everything, that's great. Like you're still making a toolbox. It's well, I definitely say there was a lot more guys than girls. So it kind of prepared me for trade school and like being able to get along with both. When I went to the very first orientation, first time going into school, I walk into this auditorium just full of boys. Like, it kind of smells in there. It's loud. I'm just sat at a random table and they talk about welding. And I'm looking around. I'm at the front, so I can't really look behind me. But I'm looking around and I see no girls. And I'm like, damn, 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 damn. Until it ends and I see one like little blonde head kind of walking along the crowd, and I just know like it's a girl. So I dash towards her and I'm like, "Hey, I'm Autumn," and that's how I met my friend Maya. We're both the only two girls in our class at the moment. And she was immediate, just like, I'm Maya, and she was open. And it was just so nice, not only to have a girl, but to have a girl who was so sure of herself. I think in the trades, And Maya's very sure of herself in that way, and that's very pleasant, to have a good friend.
I'm so glad you found that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when some of my closest friends, actually all of my closest friends are only UTI girls. Like, I don't really have very many friends. That sounds crazy. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that.
Boys are just as dramatic as girls. They talk as much crap. They get
If not
petty
more.
too.
If not more, it's like I'm over here taking notes.
It's very different than high school because of the dynamic with a lot of boys and everyone wanting the same career, everyone going towards the same goal. Also, the welding program is much smaller. UTI Avondale, where I'm at, is very centered towards auto body, automotive, mechanics, and welding is just a small course. So I think we're very knit in that sense. We're the only welders. We walk down the hall messy, dirty as hell. We're not that cool. But at first, I feel like you have to establish yourself right off the bat that like you're not gonna take any crap. Like as a girl, you're not gonna take disrespect. Like I could take a joke, but I will not take disrespect. And you gotta be able to throw it back twofold, you know? Like if you come at me, I'm gonna come at you. But it's also helpful having a girl that's a friend in that class because I feel like if you have another girl there, it kind of gives you the stability so you don't feel ostracized, you don't feel stupid or small. Because you have a girl backing you up, like, yeah, what is this problem? You're being weird, you're being like rude, blah, blah, blah. So it's nice to have that together. And I feel like now it's pretty mellowed out. I'm not treated too differently than other students. I feel like just being in the trade, truthfully, it'll never get to a point where my gender isn't a glaring subject, but it's getting better.
Yeah, a lot of people, they're gonna, if you go on to podcasts in the future, this is gonna be a question they keep asking you. It's never gonna stop, ever. I've like gotten to the point where I'm like, I honestly don't care. You could keep asking me this question, but just so you know, that doesn't really matter that much. Like your experience, the difference in your experience, yes, that matters a lot. Like I don't want to take anything away from your experience just because you're a woman, you know? And I also don't want to take anything away from a man's experience at the same time. Like I want to let them also like have their time to shine. Um,
I think um, being a girl is not all negative in a trade, especially welding, since pretty much every teacher I've had with a new course will be like, women are naturally better at welding because we have a better center of gravity that keeps us balanced and we have better hand-eye coordination. That this doesn't mean that women are automatically going to be top of the class and like men shouldn't even try because it's not that big of a difference that puts you ahead, but it is reassuring and it does help. It helps you be confident. Um, a great opportunity that I got just because, well, not just because, but a big portion because I was a girl, was last year when I was graduating, I was sending out grad cards to companies and I was just looking up any company I'd like, M&M, Coca-Cola, people, Adam Sandler, and looked at welding companies. And one of them I sent a grad card to was Hypertherm. And I basically said, hey, I'm Autumn. I'm graduating SHS. I'm in the welding program, going to UTI. I drew a little picture of a welder. And I was like, come to my graduation. But they actually responded. I got out of class one day and my welding teacher goes, what did you say to Hypertherm? And I had completely forgot. I sent these cards out weeks ago. I was like, Hypertherm? What's that? But then my principal came up and was like, Hypertherm wants to do a deal with you, a PR deal, and send you a plasma cutter. So I got a brand new plasma cutter, around $3,000, I'd say, sent straight to my house as a graduation present. And then I got to talk do interviews with Alaska Daily News, and I got in a welding catalog, just my little bit, and primarily for being a young woman going into an industry, like I feel like welding, the community is very judgmental. You always see those posts like you're welding, blah blah blah, I've been welding for blah blah blah, and it's true. Like they will judge you that, but they're also very supportive in the way like they want you to get better. They want more welders. They like welding, they like the industry. They want everyone to succeed and have great welds.
That's honestly so awesome. It's because you put yourself out there and really not just because you're a woman. Yes, that helps so much, but you put yourself out there. You had reached out to that company. Since we're on the topic of getting gifts from companies, have you received any scholarships for UTI?
I received a almost, I wouldn't call it a scholarship, but my I think it's my teacher because he's such a great teacher that I did get a 10% discount off my tuition for just going to his class, which is crazy. Um, there wasn't a lot of scholarships in Alaska that I could find, but going to school, what I didn't realize is that you can get scholarships for the tuition you're currently paying. And they have such great programs inside the school. They have Tech Force. Do you have that, Dylan? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to partner with Tech Force, so I'll definitely, since you just mentioned that, I'm gonna be sending this segment to him. I think Tech Force is an amazing nonprofit organization for our scholarships. What's some advice that you have for somebody in high school that's wanting to weld or is interested in going to UTI?
Okay. I wrote this so I could remember it. But I'd say do not ignore your mistakes. This is specifically for welding because it's more like art, but it could apply to pretty much anything. If you make a mistake, your puddle is too big, too small, you have porosity, you're going off the line, do not just throw it away, try to ignore it. Think about how it happened. Do your same thing and focus for when your mistake happened so you can highlight the issue and change it because welding is muscle memory. It's like an art. You get into a rhythm, and if you do not change something, it will be permanent. Your hand will just do it automatically. So you have to train yourself, see your mistakes, train yourself to stop it, and move forward.
Oh, what's something you wish you knew before you started in this career?
I wish I knew. This is kind of a small, petty thing. I'll get into a bigger thing later. But I wish I knew not to get a computer because in the UTI handbook, it says to get a computer, and my boyfriend uses his a lot for mechanics. I have not used my new $100 computer once in my class. So if you're welding and they say to get the computer, do not get the computer.
I don't even.
Oh, here's something. The UTI does not provide welder certification at the end of the course. Yeah, that was the reaction of everybody in the class. Like, wide eye, crazy.
I
We had
think
all
I
just
knew
paid
this.
so
So,
much, and we're not getting certified at the end. And the reasoning is that if we did certify and all of you got certified, that looked fishy on our end. We are like, I don't give a certify us. But
okay,
yeah, they
let me
do
give you
have
some tea.
resources afterwards, like you'll get like certified at, and it prepares you for that. They have direct lines, but we thought we were getting certified in the class, so that was shocking. So,
So, back when I first moved in with my roommates at UTI, one of my roommates was in the welding program and she found out pretty early on that they weren't actually giving certifications. She dropped out immediately. She was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And I didn't realize that they still didn't do that. Like, I thought they had figured that out and were deciding like, "Oh, we'll do certifications because for automotive they give associate's degrees." So I would have figured that they would have at least given y'all certifications for welding, but that's so what do you graduate with when you walk the
um,
stage?
you graduate with knowledge, I guess. You have, I mean, a lot of our teachers have great connections. Like one of our teachers has straight up said, like, y'all will be getting certified. He's a great teacher. He has a connection. They'll help you pay. But graduating straight out of the book, nothing. And a lot of people will argue like, well, that's why I don't want to go to trade school, you know. And I see that point of view, like it's money. Money is money. But I think it also does help. Trade school will help you in ways that learning on the field cannot provide. I think learning on experience is very important, but so is the book. Knowing how the machines are made, how they run, simple math you can do with that, learning all across the bases, plasma grinding, TIG, MIG, Oxy, all of the types to have you prepared.
Even though they don't give you a certification, the learning the curriculum is so important, especially for those who weren't exposed to welding in general. Especially like for me, I wasn't exposed to automotive growing up, so going to automotive school was really important for me. Do you have anything you want to add, like experience wise, or anything that you think would help somebody if they knew?
Um, I do have like little tidbits I can add this my journey. I think welding, like I chose welding in part by spite because I remember sophomore year there was this guy, but he wasn't that important. And then he drops out sophomore year. And I was like, damn, like dropping out. And I remember him saying kind of to the school, like, I'm gonna make 3 times your salary. I'm gonna go be a welder while y'all are stuck in like stupid high school, blah blah blah. And then I was kind of like, 3 times my salary? Like, okay. So that's really when I started looking into welding and say, or got just the idea in my head. Because before it never even really occurred to me. Growing up in Alaska, I was on an island, a small island, which is primarily fishing. My whole family on my dad's side is just fishermen. My dad was a fisherman. My uncles, my aunts, and my grandma was a fisherman. And I love the ocean. I like going on boats. I did not want to be a fisherman. Oh my goodness, I did not want to be a fisherman. But I still wanted to be helpful. I wanted to give to my community and still be involved in the family business, but not have to be a fisherman. So welding seemed like a good point. They love welders in Alaska. They always need them. Underwater, rig,
So
pipe.
are you planning on going back to Alaska after you graduate? Oh, and when do you graduate?
I graduate May 12th, I think. I'm
Okay,
not
May
too
12th.
sure.
So anybody who's listening to this, if they want to gift Autumn something, she graduates from UTI Avondale in May.
Yes, someone in Alaska, give me a job. But
So,
I do want to be. Oh, I want to be around my grandma who raised me, still involved that in her life. And then there's a community college there that I'll get good tuition rates since I'm native. So it's like a good plan in Alaska. Be close. They always need jobs. And I love the water.
what's some closing remarks that you have actually?
Okay. Um, I I love welding in the same way that I love art, making things with my hands, as I was saying, and like Zen tangles. I remember when I was my art teacher brought that up, how people make Zen tangles, which are basically just doodles, and it allows them to kind of free their mind or to focus on something else while still doing something. And I really liked that idea, so I started applying it to art that I could do that I liked, which was knitting, friendship bracelet, stuff like that. It's basically my hands are working, but my mind isn't. I like to daydream, maladaptive daydream. So I can just work with my hands, keep on going, and just be somewhere else. But it is calming, and welding was just another level of that. You're in your own little booth, your own little area, usually. You know, you have this kind of heavy coat on and head or earbuds, headphones sometimes, helmet, and your hands are working. You're creating this art and your like eyes are following, but your mind is just free to do whatever. I just love that headspace. I love the environment it brings, and it truly is like my happy place at the moment. You know,
No, I felt that when you were talking about like daydreaming. I noticed I do that with like crochet because I'm addicted. Like it's bad. Oh shoot, I was gonna show you one of my skirts. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna bring a skirt. I'll show you.
oh my God, I just started crocheting a little bit.
So here's one of them, and
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
and then this is I'm still working on it, but
I
yeah,
love those. I love the frilly stuff. I
it's
just
so
started
addicting.
crocheting recently.
That's
I
cute.
made like this giant leaf vine. I just kept on doing it. It's nice. Um, I like crocheting. It's different than knitting in the fact that like, well, you only need one needle, of course, but it's also like sometimes you don't even have to look at it. Because I feel
No,
like
you. Sh-
knitting, you're always like checking, like, is that the right thing? How many rows do I have? But crocheting, you can just kind of be like, okay, one, two, three, yeah.
So, thank you, Autumn, for joining me today and talking with me about what you do. Thank you for sharing your experiences and yapping with me for what, like 40 minutes about crochet, welding, and all that stuff. If you want to follow Autumn on TikTok, I'll have her TikTok in the description. If you want to connect with her on LinkedIn, I'll also have that down there. Um, be sure to rate this podcast 5 stars on Spotify and leave a comment if you also went to UTI and if you want to be on my podcast, make sure to hit me up on Instagram or LinkedIn. Uh, um,
Thank you for having me.
of course, thank you. Thank you for being here. And I'm gonna definitely need to get your snap when we get a chance because I have a lot of projects I want to show you. Now I'm excited.
So,
But thank you so much for talking to me. I hope you have a really
cool.
good rest of your week.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you.